How's it going, guys? So I figured I put together a new graphic novel haul since it's been pretty much 2 months already, and I figured I'd fancy up the place with this nice extremity shirt that I got not too long ago. But anyways, let me get right into the haul. I'll start with Punisher, The Platoon by Garth Ennis and Goran Parloff. This is the only Marvel book I got, and I got this not too long ago. Actually, I got this week, so I haven't started reading this. One of my shop guys was telling me that was kind of disappointing towards the end. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the artist, so of course I couldn't pass it up. I figured Ennis didn't have any more Punisher in him, but then I got a Red Dog from 451, and I don't think I've ever gotten anything from 451, but I heard some interesting stuff from this title. It's got a lot of praise, as you can see, and I figured since it was completely collected, I'd go ahead and check it out. I did not know there was 2 illustrators. I figured there was only one, but apparently there is more than one artist on the book. Created by Rob Cohen. But like I said, it sounded like it was a pretty good story, and I figured since you rarely get any 451 books collected into trade, I'd give it a shot, see if I enjoy it. Then I have some IDW here, Transformers IDW, Redemption of the Dinobots. I have read this one. It was okay. Wasn't that great. It collects 3 story arcs. So you have, I think it's, what is it? Punishment, Redemption, and Salvation. And it all deals with Dinobot. It's all present continuity, I believe. The art in the first arc was very dark. It was hard to tell what was what sometimes. But by the second arc, it gets a lot better. And basically, you're looking at the Dinobots being used as a weapon and how they're trying to get redemption for what they did during the war and after the war, and now that Cybertron is in ruins, what do they do next? If you're a fan of Transformers, I would say go look for it in your local library. Otherwise, the art was a bit disappointing, and the story was a bit choppy. Maybe, I don't know, the editing or something. I have no idea. I know nothing about writing comics. So. Then I have Lobster Johnson. This is a collection of short stories, volume 6. So you get a plethora of artists. And it was great stuff. I think I have most of these in single issues. But maybe 1 or 2 in here that I didn't have. So I was happy to pick up some more Lobster. He's just a great character all around. And here's another Dark Horse book, Aliens Dead Orbit. This was pretty fun. This is by James Stucco. The only thing I didn't like about this is that they took out the chapter breaks. And I'm never a fan of books taking out the chapter or the issue breaks, because you lose a sense of suspense, kind of. And overall, the story was pretty good. It's about this ship that runs across another ship, and of course, it has aliens in it. So, and it's told in sort of a It's non-sequential time, so you're jumping back and forth from what's happening to what happened. And you know, Stucco does a pretty good job with that. It could have, I don't know, it could have been better, but it was pretty good overall. So I would recommend Dead Orbit. Then I have the HeadLopper. As you can see, I'm right in the middle of it almost. Actually, I've just read 2 issues of this, basically. This is volume 2 of the HeadLopper. Big fan of it, and this basically, jumps back into our characters. Helga, or whatever the witch's head names, is just as quirky and fun. Norgal, he's just a badass. And we get introduced to 2 more main characters that are joining Norgal. But from the first 2 chapters that I've read, it's just been great. Highly recommend the HeadLopper. On a side note, if you do like the HeadLopper, I have to recommend Nemo from Bruno. This was a pretty good read. I'm sure most of us have read something from or something about 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or something like that. We're all familiar with the story in some way, and the art in this really reminded me a lot of the HeadLopper. It's not, it's not entirely the same, but it is very reminiscent. And I thought what was pretty cool was that every time the Nemo is talking to his crew, they never have word bubbles, or they have some kind of pictogram explaining what they're saying to each other. But there is dialogue between him and some other characters that drive this story. So highly recommend Nemo as well. This is from IDW. I think I got it maybe a few hauls ago. I can't remember, but it should still be in print, I'm thinking. Enough of the sidetrack there. Let me go on to the rest of the haul. Here we have Copperhead, volumes 3 and 4. I'm not sure why I got volume 4. I mean, I got the whole story in singles, I believe. And I wasn't a big fan of Drew Moss jumping onto the art. And I wasn't too happy about the story that Jason and Fairbear was doing. But I'm guessing he was kind of getting his footing back onto the characters. I think probably the best part of this volume 3 was that you get the first 3 pages that Scott Godlowski did for the series. It was just funny to compare, the page layout from the 2 artists. They're following the same script, I'm guessing, but Godlowski's art just is way better. Character design, I really do enjoy it more. For volume 4, this is new to me. It's still Moss's art, which is always very rigid at times. Even when he's showing movement. I've read up to the 3rd issue in this arc, and I kind of do enjoy Fairbear's story here more than I did in the 3rd volume. But I don't know. I'm guessing it might get better. I do know that Godlowski is coming back for the 5th story arc, so I'm kind of interested to see how they pick up the story, how it's going to progress. I mean, I was a big fan of the first 2 arcs of Copperhead. It was a great Western sci-fi. So yeah, I mean, hit your local library and check it out for yourself. Then I have Port of Earth, volume 1. This I was not a big fan of. It's written by Zach Kaplan and artist Andre Moody. And I don't know about the art. The story was very slow. you've got this whole sci-fi thing about aliens coming to Earth and sharing a port, of course, with Earth and humans. And I just couldn't get into the art. Every time I read this story, I was thinking of Redline. If you've ever read Redline from Oni Press, that was a much better alien, you know, alien interaction story with a military type, story. I don't know. It just didn't feel as good, and every time they jumped from this whole trying to explain the story through the media, it just didn't work for me. So I don't think I'll keep reading Port of Earth. But if you want, if you want something similar, I would recommend Redline from Oni Press. The art was much better. The characters were, a lot more fun, I guess. I don't know. And finally, I have Firebug by Johnny Christmas, and it's colored by Tamara Bonavilla. I can't say her last name, but I remember putting this on my previews list because I saw a preview of the art, and it's basically a fantasy story about goddesses and kind of the world building of this whole society around them. And it was okay. It gets weird. It gets kind of biblical at times. They're trying to create this whole biblical narrative around the characters that sometimes doesn't really work. But it was interesting at times. I would say if you like odd fantasy, it kind of did remind me of a Rumble by John Arcudi, but not as well told. So I would probably recommend that over Firebug. But if you want to check out some more fantasy, I would say give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it more than I. But yeah, that was my haul for these past 2 months. Yeah, thank you very much for watching.